Hello and welcome into Looking Up with Laird here on Sorare TV. I'm Andrew Laird. You can find me as Lairdinho on Sorare. Joined as always by Harry Trades and Sam Tighe. Today to add 4 more players to our Looking Up with Laird Sorare Data watch list. Sam was adamant about Harry starting because Harry came in 5 seconds ago and was like, I think I have a second player. And the whole thing of this show is that they each have 2. And Harry comes in with I think I have a second. Harry, let's start with your second. And hopefully the show can just increase from there.
That's fine. I'll give a bit of background to why it was a bit of a mix-up. But yeah, basically I had two AZ players for my second pick, so it would have been 3 players in that sense. But I realized the guy I was going to pick just got a red card in one of the midweek games, straight red. And it kind of put me off a little bit as far as utility goes for the next however many games. So I just picked the other winger. Because I think he's better anyway. He's just a little bit more expensive. And that's Myron van Brederode of AZ. He's not he's a player that I assume quite a few people have heard of, I'd hope, in the sort of Sorare sphere, minus Sam, because Sam's just unaware of every young up and coming talent there is in the Dutch league, it feels like. But
pretty much, yeah.
But honestly, I managed to watch him play in that stretch of games that AZ had leading up to that West Ham game last year in the Conference League. So he was getting quite a few starts in that last year. And yeah, like I said, I was able to watch him. He played against West Ham, and I was just like, wow, who is this kid? Because at the time, Carlson was the left wing, obviously, for AZ, but he was also injured. So Van Brederode came in. You're not going to see much from those scores. Didn't really get any decisives in those games. Obviously, the loss to West Ham twice. But as a player, you could just see wow, this kid's electric. I think he was 19 at the time, maybe. I think he's 20 right now. Mm-hmm. And he just looked like an unbelievable left winger for his age. And obviously wasn't their starting winger or whatever. And just sort of took the chance in the team or whatever. Had a few sort of peaky scores, I guess, last year. There was 100 in there. And a couple of 80s, maybe 70s, 60s. So, I don't think we've seen the best of him. And we clearly haven't this year either. Realistically, there's some decent scores, but, there's no dark greens this year. And I just think, I'm just waiting for him to pop in that sense. I don't know, one, so that's not me, pumping my own bags, but I'm just waiting. AZ are winning games. I'm just not surprised he's not involved as much as he is. But you look at a couple of his all-round scores, there's always a big chance created. Pavlidis probably has missed it. No disrespect. He just has. And that's just the way it's going right now. Obviously, he's had a couple of goals. And like I mentioned, the other player I was going to pick, Laudo, got a red card in the last midweek game, I believe, against Legia. I think, he got he fly kicked somebody in the jaw.
That was brutal. I remember. I saw the still image of that. And I saw the still, slow it down. And then even live, you're just like, ooh.
Yeah. Not fun, but he's actually a really good player as well himself. He's had a boatload of DAs, way more than Van Brederode has this year. His AA, I don't think is going to be there as much as Van Brederode, just from what I'm seeing right now. But who knows in the future? But I just think Van Brederode is just lacking those DAs that maybe Lado has. You flip them around, I think you're seeing massive scores on Van Brederode's side. I just think he's way more capable of that 15 to 25 AA as a forward. Takes a lot of players on, creates a lot of chances from the left, right-footed, so he cuts in a lot. 3 home games in the next 3. I know Sam's boys are in there. So
couple of tough fixtures in there, I see. Couple of tough fixtures.
Couple of toughies in there. But Heerenveen and NEC, they're good fixtures. Very good fixtures for AZ. Excelsior as well isn't barred, obviously, away from home. And then Sam's boys again. So, they've got a tough sort of run in the, for their midweeks in that sense. But I think he's I know he's a really good player. I'm just waiting for the scores to catch up and for him to really, maybe just get the luck of the green in that sense and get those big chances created and turn them into assists in that sense. So yeah, for me, Van Brederode, he should be looking up over the next couple of weeks, I would say, after this international break.
So he was one I remember was very popular before the season started because everyone said when Carlson leaves, he'll slot right in. He's young. He'll be great. And you can see kind of on the price chart, the longer it went that Carlson did not leave, Like the Jesper Karlsson transfer was felt like the longest one ever. Every break over the every window over the last 2 years, it was like, well, surely he's gone now. And then all of a sudden, window closes, Karlsson's still there, and everyone's like, okay, we'll just keep running him out. And I think that's really what led to this, because Van Brederode was usually not going to play over Karlsson. So they basically just needed Karlsson to leave. But do I remember correctly that he took some set pieces, Van Brederode? Or was it just because Karlsson occasionally took some that he would take any?
I can't remember. I don't remember last year's situation. I don't think he has this year. I could be corrected. Another thing, though, to point out, Laird, he did miss the first couple of games of this season through injury.
That's right.
I don't know whether that price situation was because of that, and he's had to sort of get up and running a bit later than the rest of the guys. I think he missed game week 4-1, 400, something along those lines.
Yeah. Yep.
So I think people not forgot about him, but just kind of disregarded him for that first. You would assume there would be, if he was fit for those games, I think people would have got on board a little bit sooner. So what did he miss? Oh, first 4 games, right? 4 or 5 games.
5.
You're fine. Oh wow, okay. So it feels like it's a delayed reaction on him a little bit. Okay, he's on the bench for that brand. Yeah, fair enough. So I don't know. I think there's a lot more to come from him. And he's just a good AA capable forward who just is lacking those assists, I think, that he probably needs to get into those dark greens. Yeah, he's scored a couple of goals, but still hasn't managed to break that 75 yet, which I think I know he's more than capable of. It's obviously just showing it, right?
No, I think he's a great pick. And let me see I don't know what this recent price drop is really caused by, unless it was maybe some new season cards pushing it up. And then people are starting to, no, that's just, man, I think that's moving in the wrong direction.
It feels that way, doesn't it?
Bargain.
I almost bought one around here. What is that? Yeah, mid-July, because there was just too much talk of this kid taking over with Karlsson leaving. And then every day that Karlsson didn't leave, I was like, I'm going to be sitting on one here if Karlsson doesn't leave. And obviously, I think a lot of people started to feel that way. And then Karlsson left, price comes up, and then looks like some auctions are sneaking by at really attractive prices based on where he was. Man, 326 to 195.
Yeah, that's wild. I also think the set piece talk thing that we mentioned with him, I think that more belongs, it just came to my head, to that Sven Mynans. Obviously, we know who he is and whatever, but I think it was him more than Van Brederode that was going to sort of take over those corners and stuff. I don't know if he takes them all. I know he's left-footed, so I don't know whether he takes in-swinging or out-swing or whatever it is, but I know he's involved. I'm sure he's involved. So, I don't know. I think the Whit maybe as well. Oh, and Sugawara actually, wasn't it? Yeah, that came.
Yeah, Sugawara takes most of them at this point.
Yeah, that kind of really took everyone by surprise, I think, because you watch him play. He's not the most technical. Well, he's good, but you wouldn't be like, well, this guy's going to be, the main sort of set piece taker in that team. But fair play, he's taking them over.
Yeah, I think my favorite thing is that 10 contests won in the last 5. You don't.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
we love a contest.
I mean, 6 shots on target in the last 5 games is pretty good too. So, and then 5 attempted assists. So he clearly is involved. Yeah, I think the decisives will come, and it's just a matter of whether he can get the decisive in the games where he's already pumping out the 12 to 20 AA, and then you just have an explosive score. I can't believe he wasn't a lock in your list, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I feel quite bad on Van Brederode. Sorry if you're watching, Myron.
Sam, I think you're going to have some pretty strong conviction with both of your guys. So let's give the floor to you.
Yeah, I usually do. Let's go. Let's start with Martin Braithwaite, who you may know as Braithwaite. Apparently it's Braithwaite, which I don't understand at all because there's no consistency whatsoever in that pronunciation based on the spelling of his name. So it's what it is. Anyway, I asked a Danish guy and that's what he said. Martin Braithwaite, who tried to force a summer exit from Espanyol because of their relegation, was unsuccessful. Went AWOL, then had to come back and apologise. I'm sure you're loving this description of this player. What a reliable sounding chap this guy is. But yeah,
Let me go buy one right now.
he just disappeared in the summer in training camp. He just left and was like no one knew where he was for like a couple of weeks. Anyway, they managed to coax him back, mostly because all of the mooted transfers fell through. He was definitely linked to Lille and a couple of others, but nothing came off. But he's back in now. And that means he has 150 million games to play between now and the end of the season because he is in the second division, which is great. He plays for one of the top teams, which is great. As you can see, he's scoring decisives. I think he's got 6 this season since he's come back into the team. Not bad at all. And while obviously Espanyol being a promotion contender may start to be a bit of a concern in April, I think it's a great thing in October, just because if you're a top striker on a top team and you've literally, obviously I exaggerate, but I think it's 42 games plus playoffs in this division. If you've that many games to crack through and you're on a top team and you play against some of the crap at the bottom of this league, like there are some big days in store for you. And of course, they play through international breaks. So if you buy him now, he's playing at the weekend and he's playing for his for his club. I don't think he's been called up. So there's another, through the season, you've got another opportunity there maybe to utilize him in those kind of Harry trades areas, I call them, the clever spots where no one else is paying attention.
I remember discussing do we call it La Liga 2? What are they actually called now? Is it still Smart Bank?
I think it's a Smart Bank. It's called the Segunda, really, the second.
Right. Anyway, so the Segunda playoffs, didn't they go through like the end of June last year? Like I remember I forget who.
Yeah.
We were talking about somebody, weren't we? Who was
I
it?
mentioned a couple
Carlos
of players.
Neva, maybe.
I mean, I think I've got a weird affinity for this league because of Granada. So I would have talked about Granada. I probably would have talked about Alaves players as well. So yeah, there would have been 2 or 3 clubs in the mix there, and yeah, it basically covers June, or at least it did last year.
Right. Yeah, for how much we talk about utility and how it's great that players have extra games, and then we tend to forget about it. We see other players and we're like, oh yeah, but like this is just so many games. Like you talk about the English Championship, Segunda with playoffs is just like so many games. So yeah, I like it. Is there any chance he tries to force his way out in January though?
I mean, it's a good question, and I wish I could see the future on that one. But for now he's staying put. And Espanyol, they're a bit of a rotter of a result on Monday actually. But generally speaking, they've looked pretty good. Laird, I think you've got a Calero, haven't you? Is it a Calero in defence? And I've got a Leandro Cabrera. We've got the Cabrera-Calero centre-back partnership, and it's been pretty good recently. Like I've got Paul Lozano as well in midfield. They're looking quite good. Like this is a good setup. We can never know what happens in the January window, but the reason I actually ended up on this was partially because, first of all, I'm looking at Espanyol's scores because I have a couple of their players. The second, because actually I was gonna look at Armando Broja. Because he's made his return from injury, scored against Fulham, and then started the next game against Burnley. And despite the fact that Broja is a 50% in play sharp terms starter for Chelsea, probably 45 really on a normal week, and the fact that he will only play 32 games from here, he's still more expensive than Martin Braithwaite. It's just another example here where you look at you're drawn towards that shiny thing. And you're like, oh, that's a good story. He plays for Chelsea. Yeah, really good. And then, of course, in the very, very unfashionable depths of this game, in the second division in Spain, there is just a much better option. Because there almost always is.
Yeah. What a great way to put it. There's just almost always a better option. Yeah, I love it. Not much of an AA guy, but no. I guess if you score every game, it doesn't matter.
Well, yeah, he doesn't score every game, but six decisives for the season feels like a pretty strong return, and it feels pretty sustainable based on the team that he's in.
Yep, absolutely. Love it. Harry, your conviction play this week?
Yeah, this one was a dead cert for me this week. After what did he rip? Yeah, he ripped 100 this last game week. So yeah, he kind of he just gets him. Yeah, he just becomes number one out of the 2 picks this week. But that's Imad Abdelli of Angers in the French second division. Yeah, I've seen Sean play this card a couple of times in under 23 rare, and I'm just like, who is he, and why does Sean have him? Probably won him.
Surely won him.
Yeah, surely won him. So I was like, okay, fair enough. I'll have a little look. Under 23, I think he's only got 1 year left. And then I saw the 100 this weekend. I was like, okay. Kind of looked into it a little bit more and found out, he's captain of Angers, who are in the French second division, who got relegated last year. Went on an absolute heater, by the way. Those 4 scores led, those 85, 91. That was in the French first division, where they were just sort of fighting to stay up, basically, but didn't happen. And yeah, I've come to find that he's basically the main man at Angers. Takes penalties, not heavily. Well, he has taken corners. But there's another guy there, Remy something. I can't remember. He came off the bench, I think, this weekend. If we have a look. Oh, no, this was, yeah. So he's taken a couple, but no, it wasn't Remy. Furhat, my bad. Anyway, has taken free kicks. He's kind of just like the main guy at 23 at Angers, captain, which I found quite impressive. He's got a contract, I think, until 26. They are, they're playing well. Like, I think they're third in the league maybe right now. And he just seems like a very cheap op. Like, for anyone to score 100, I know there's decisive involved, but for any midfielder on Sorare, especially under 23 right now, which is, it's so hard to, like, I'm finding it tough, even with like an array of, say, midfielder options, to get those cards in that can absolutely smash on a given game week. This is away from home as well, by the way, it's not an easy game, I guess. But I watched him play and he kind of does a bit of everything. Like, he's not just somebody that's going to get attacking stats. Like, he's always getting tackles. He never always gets the double, triple, whatever. But he seems to always get a couple of interceptions or one tackle or whatever it is. And he's a midfielder card. So he's obviously going to get those 3 points for the tackles, which is great. I know we love our forward cards, but ultimately, if your player is doing those defensive things, you want him to be a midfielder at the end of the day. Yeah. And I just think he's a cheapish alternative to some of the big under 23 midfielders that we talk about. Midfielders have been weird, I think, on Sorare this year, as far as under 23s go. Like, Coach, hasn't really kicked on. I know Bellingham's in a league of his own in that sense, and the price reflects it, right? This guy's like, 20 times cheaper than Bellingham. I know he's not Bellingham. But the fact that he can put up 100 on given game weeks, that's just what he's never going to do it every week like Bellingham is, because he's not at Real Madrid. There's a reason why this guy's playing for Angers. Simple as. But like, the actual midfielders, I mean, Puig and Almada, obviously America. Theo Leone, we've mentioned him on this, on here ourselves. Saka's injured now, but whatever. O'Reilly's been really good. I'll give him that. And then we've got Imad in there, who's 7th on the list. Sergio Gomez shouldn't be there.
Right.
The rest of them, okay, Arthur Veerman's has been really, really good for Antwerp. There's a handful. Obviously, Tremeni, we've mentioned him. Ugarte was really good for the first sort of 6 or 7 games. I'm just not seeing any standouts, Laird. Are you? Realistically, like, Enzo's not up there right now. Those names are just like not what we expected. Mats Wiefer's been decent. Batterina hasn't been on it. It's been a weird situation, I think, in the under 23 mids, and nobody's really, unless you're Jude Bellingham, nobody's really bothered in that sense to really, fight for that top. Or even like top 3. Like, I couldn't even tell you who the top 3 are really, apart from Jude in that sense. And I don't know. I think it's an interesting one at his price. I know he's only got 1 year left, but I think there's scope for him to really sort of kick on. He's in an easier league than last year. Simple as. I know he's only had one sort of really good score so far in that 100. The rest is, 20 to 25 AA. But like we've always said, if you add that 1 DA to the 20 to 25 AA, then that's when you get your smashing week. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, no, I think it's a perfect example of what you get when you look outside of the big names that you can. I mean, Sorare is littered with players who nobody's ever heard of, and they're great scorers, and then all of a sudden they become heard of in the Sorare sense, like Marvin Vonacek and guys like that. But when you look at just fundamentally the numbers here, like Musiala has been a little banged up, or he's been kind of rotated lately. like Kamavinga, they're 50 and 51 on the L15. And even if you go higher, like Soboslai's 41, and just the names that you went through, we had, Baturina, Minans is there. I mean, Abdelli's there at the top, basically. And so, and if you consider that 2 and 3, Ricky Puig and Almada's seasons are almost over, it fits right in. And you don't get any bonus points in U23 by playing in a higher league. So you just get the guys who score the most. And Abdelli fits right in. To be honest, when I saw the thumbnail, I thought it was Bentaleb, because Bentaleb had like Angers cards, and I was like, man, that's a weird pick. But very curious how he's looking up at this point. But, presently was not there. So I think that's a really fun call. And like price wise, obviously he's not priced like all the other upper tier U23 options, and yet score wise, I mean, it's exactly what you want. You want the cheaper guy. With Matt O'Reilly's 3-day average at 89, Matt O'Reilly, excuse me, at 89, and he's at 1091. Like, why is he only $3 more or $4 more than Sergio Gomez?
I think you disregard. I know the stats are there, but if you take out that 100, he does become a little bit less, not viable, but he just doesn't look as attractive, does it? What was like before that? I think it was, a bit of a drought as far as DAs go this season. Decent AA, but unfortunately, so what's that? 1 goal.
That's it.
Yeah. So like, I can see why. I can see it. Do you get what I'm saying? It's just being able to spot things. I know we spotted it after the 100, fair enough, but like, at least we've got a taste of what can come. And just by watching him play, like, he is a very, very good player, and he can do a bit of everything. And that's what you need to get the double doubles, the triple triples on the defensive side of things. You combine that with the attacking side. And I guess one player that's not coming up on the list for some reason, I guess because he's a forward now, is obviously Wirtz. He would definitely be up there. But other than him, I can't think of anyone else that deserves a mention in that sense. And Theo Leone, wow. It's almost as if we mentioned him on this show or something, wasn't it?
Most of that shortlist has just got a heart by it, which just means that Harry has talked about them at some point.
You've done too many, to be fair.
Yeah.
And Ugarte.
I mean,
credit. Come on.
I'm the smallest part of the group project here, but as you were scrolling down that list all the way down to like 60, I was basically just looking at how many were already had a heart next to them, just counting up all of Harry's wins.
Those are not just.
I never buy these cards. It's crazy. Like that Theo Leone, just situations like that. Like, why aren't I going out and buying him? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I can't follow through on some of these calls, but I don't even want to look, Laird.
It's like you don't have unlimited money, Harry. Can't believe it.
I know.
Yeah, you should try playing with that.
Yeah, have you considered playing with an unlimited budget?
Yeah. I'll ask Sean to swap galleries for a day and see how that turns out.
No, you just buy Abdelli and win Leone. That's how you do it.
3 home games in the next 5. Not bad.
Not bad. This terrible 419 matchup, though.
Yeah, I was gonna mention it.
Don't even put him in academy.
Yeah, don't bother.
Mr. Tighe?
Yes. So looking through that list just there and ultimately hunting for the price outlier. I'm not saying that's what Harry did, because obviously he talked about his process in finding that player, but just looking through that's basically what I did to find this next player, which is Pedro Porro, because I basically just decided to look at all of the Spurs players and just go on the team page and be like, who looks cheap considering they're all scoring brilliantly? And this is the answer. So obviously they're top of the league, which is outrageous. And they've been pretty magnificent top to bottom. So they're all getting hype. All the names on all the cards are all, well, apart from this one, they're all getting hype. They're all starting to creep up in price. Christian Romero, Vicario is ridiculously expensive for a goalkeeper even. And a few others like Maddison is obviously crazy. But Porro is at about £113 for the rare floor, which I was a bit surprised at. Romero and even Van de Ven, who's a much worse L5, are significantly cheaper. In fact, Porro, I think, is like the 5th highest scoring player on the Spurs team in the last 5 games. But he really does seem to be, for whatever reason, considering he is a consistent start, he's an undroppable starting player. He's a lot cheaper than the others, and I don't really know why. He's under 23 for the next season. He has taken 27 corners this year. Can't believe I keep referencing that stuff now. You two have really got to me. I don't know how this is going to shake out because, as far as I know, Spurs haven't had a penalty so far this season. But Porro has taken penalties in the past for Sporting. We know he can take them well. So I don't know what happens post Kane. No one does. And look, let's be honest, it's probably Kane. But I've seen Madison. It's probably Son. But I've seen Maddison miss a few for Leicester. I don't think he would be the lock to take them in a way that some people would. And I'd open that conversation or make that a question mark. And then consider the fact that, what Ange Postecoglou has done so far at Spurs with the tactical system, Porro is undroppable, because his backup is kind of useless. Emerson can't do any of the stuff that Porro needs to do or can do in build-up phases, in terms of avoiding pressure, in terms of swinging in those balls into the box in the final third. Porro's really, really good in possession. All of his AA comes from possession. If you look at some of the bigger scores there are times where he doesn't make a single tackle or a single interception. And so there's no double happening in these 60-plus scores as a defender card. And I'm like, well, how's that possible? And it's because his possession score's 18 and his attack score's 18. Because he's getting penalty area entries and he's picking up huge chunks. And maybe not that one. What was that one? Luton. What did he get there? Did he get the tackles? Oh, they were 10 men, weren't they, for ages?
But I was saying 21 AA with a big chance missed is pretty.
Oh, bless him. Maybe not that one because they were 10 men for a half. But
weren't they 9 men against 9 against Liverpool?
But he does seem to rack up in the attack bit, not necessarily the defensive stuff. But he's got one game to play each week. And I know we've just talked about how utility is amazing, but just Porro once a week until January, until the FA Cup kicks in, just he's going to play every time as long as he's fit, because he's undroppable and he's no midweek exertions. Just being able to count on that is its own skill, is its own comfort in itself sometimes. And again, we always bring it back to the price. I can't believe he's running at this cheap. Maybe it's because he's way less scarce than the other Spurs players. Maybe it's because of that, because he has old sporting cards and stuff. But the scores I'm seeing, the performances I'm seeing on the pitch, and the price I look at there is not quite tallying up for me.
I think part of the reason for the price is how expensive he used to be. And it's almost like once he dropped, people didn't want to go back there. So maybe there's just kind of an artificial ceiling on his price that it's he used to be there, but he's not that guy anymore. But score-wise, it does seem he's getting closer to his Sporting days. I was waiting for you to say he was good at playing in games that had red cards in it, based off of his recent scores. But he's really good, especially when there's a red card. And that's happened 3 out of the last 5. Obviously, there's noise there. But no, I think that's a really good shout, all around. And you're right that there does seem to be I feel like I'm anecdotally seeing a lot of people trying to stack Spurs, and he's never part of the conversation. It's always Romero, and then they go with every attacker that they can find after that. But score-wise, I don't see why he wouldn't fit in. Obviously, as I'm looking at the screen, there are two defenders with hundreds, so he's right past that. But yeah, I think everything that you described makes sense in terms of why he should fit in. And frankly, I honestly thought he was out of U23 eligibility. I didn't know he had another season. I felt like he was at Sporting for decades.
Yeah, he's been around for a long time. He really has.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people probably won't know this because it was so early, but he was actually part of the Man City academy system. And so his early days where he was, I used to watch him for the Man City under 18s and under 19s, the EDS squad. And that's when I actually first saw him. So literally about 7 years ago, playing football. And I was like, he's really good. He looks like a Guardiola fullback. He's just obviously very young at this point. They loaned him out to Girona for a bit, and then he ended up going to Sporting. It's been a bit of a circuitous route back to the Premier League. But you watch him play now, and you're like, the way he sort of tucks in on the build-up phase and occupies the half space, and then goes wide again, and he's so clean on the ball and so good under pressure. Like, he basically looks like exactly the type of player that Guardiola would put on his wish list right now, and he used to have him 5 years ago. Now, that's not a criticism, because football careers do not develop in a linear fashion. All sorts of stuff happens, but it's just a bit ironic that I found myself going, God, he looks like a real Guardiola fullback. And I go, oh, yeah, he used to play for City. But it was so long ago and at such a lower level that I don't think people necessarily realize he's come through that system. But it does explain why he plays the way he plays.
I love it. And pretty decent fixtures coming out of the break, obviously, until 4:27. And then that's just a straight back-to-back game weeks. You would just never dream of playing him.
Exactly.
I had a Porro at the start of the season, and just a rare card, because obviously I had my Kulu. I was like, you know what, maybe something can happen here. And I bought him for like 80 bucks, 80 pounds, whatever it was, which was at the time just his going price or whatever. And then I'm pretty sure Emerson started the first game or so and scored, didn't he, against Burnley? And it was a bit, I think I just got a bit scared off, to be honest. And I was just like, like, he wasn't my main under 23 defender, but like, I bought him for depth, and I was like, okay, well, this might turn out. He's cheap enough to where I can take the risk. And I just didn't wait it out, to be honest. I don't know what I did. I think I turned it into I don't know what I turned it into, but anyway, obviously regret that massively, to be fair. I really do, because it's another option that, in the area that I'm lacking, I would say most under 23 rare defenders, he's been as solid as Sam has mentioned to us. So it's definitely a good pick for sure.
So do you remember when I said that my process was that I looked at the Tottenham squad and looked for the financial outlier? That was a total lie. What I did was I looked at Harry's trade history and I picked out all of them. I've got this list of mistakes that he's made, and I'm just going to reel them off for the next 5 weeks.
You'll find a few decent ones in there, I'm sure. There'll be some decent ones in there, 100%. And Porro's up there, definitely.
All right. So if anybody out there wants to create their own Sorare Data watch list of deals that Harry has made, then just head over to Sorare Data, my watch list. It's all right there. If you're interested in the cards that we discuss, you can just search Looking Up with Laird. There are 306 other Sorare Data members who have taken advantage of this, getting these 4 guys that we talked about before the video comes out. So if that's something that you're interested in, just subscribe to that. Don't forget to subscribe to Sorare TV. You can get all the videos, get all your notifications of the new stuff that's coming out. This show comes out every Thursday when we actually film it. And so we have one this week, so enjoy that. So thank you, everybody, and good luck out there.